You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All right, folks, this fall, Third Way, the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies launched a multi-round research initiative to study the attitudes, priorities, and values of Black Americans as we head into major crossroads for our country in 2020. Here are the results in two different areas: how we feel about voting, how we feel about money. Joining us right now, Jessica Fulton. She's the Vice President for the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. So, Jessica, exactly what does it say? How do we feel about voting?
People are very enthusiastic to vote in 2020. 40% of the people that responded to our survey, we surveyed 1,200 Black folks across the country, 40% of the people said that they are more interested in voting in 2020 than they were in 2016. That's across gender, that's across age, that's across education level. But you know who isn't actually that excited to, or isn't as excited to vote, is people who have a weak connection to the Democratic Party and people who are not Democrats. So that means that they're going to have a really tough time getting those folks out to vote. But what people are largely motivated by is this anti-Trump sentiment. Literally in our focus groups, people were saying, like, we got to get this guy out of office. We got to go out. We got to
sustain. I keep trying to tell y'all. Like, y'all can holler policy all you want to. Folks are saying this man is evil.
Yeah, and as a policy person, I was a little bit disappointed, but I also noticed what people were saying about what their finances are looking like. In the past 2 years, people are not saying that anything has improved. 20% of the people are saying, you know, nothing has really gotten better in my neighborhood, nothing has really gotten better in my personal life. And that's while Donald Trump is sending out press releases saying that this is the lowest Black unemployment rate, you know, in the history of us taking the measurements for unemployment rates.
Except what he's not saying is gone up the last several months, but that's just, you know, a little detail.
It's gone up the last several months, and people are holding down 2 jobs just to make ends meet, right? So, like, even if the unemployment rate is low, if I have to have 2 jobs to be able to feed my family or to be able to pay my rent, then things aren't looking great for me, and I need somebody in who's going to make things better.
Now, when you talk about the enthusiasm, though, last 2016, when the Joint Center released their study, it showed 65 plus. Absolutely, I'm voting. And of course, as you got younger, it got lower. What is it saying now? Because again, Bernie Sanders keeps saying he can bring out young voters. There's no evidence of that in the primaries. Our young voters keep talking about what our numbers are. I keep arguing, look, I hear you, but if you don't get your ass out and vote, your numbers don't mean a damn thing. What are y'all showing?
Yeah, it does show that younger voters are less likely to be more excited to vote in 2020. And I think that speaks to what the candidates are saying. Candidates have to be speaking to young Black folks, and I don't think they are right now. Okay,
but here's the thing, and this is where I think we differ on this, and this is the problem here, is that I had one guy who tweeted me that he's like, you know, I'm sorry, I'm just not inspired to vote. And I'm sitting there going, bruh, I mean, at the end of the day, 2 things are going to happen, okay? Trump gets reelected, Trump loses. Mm-hmm. So there's this battle and this contention with I need to be inspired to actually vote. And I'm sitting here going, okay, take your issue, ask yourself what the hell is your top 3 issues, and then say, where do these 2 people on the Democratic side stand? Where does Trump stand? If you're a young person and you say, okay, I care about student loan debt, let's see, Betsy DeVos, what she's done is they've allowed for-profit colleges to continue, and she ignored a federal court order to stop taking money from people who the judge said don't garnish their wages when it came to those loans, for that student loan debt. Okay, that's a choice over here. Over here, you got Biden and Sanders talking about how to relieve folks of student loan debt. I'm sorry, what the hell should excite you?
One of the things that we actually found was that young Black folks are really concerned with housing affordability, which is something that I have not heard any of the presidential candidates on either side talk about, right? And so that's one issue that I think we really need to address. And it's
been talked about. Elizabeth Warren talked about it a lot, and other candidates talked about it as well. The problem is, and this is the piece that I keep going back to, the problem is that when people say, I haven't heard it, what they're actually saying is it hasn't come up in the debate. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And the reason it doesn't come up in the debate because the people who are asking the questions don't have a problem when it comes to affordable housing. Okay, it came up in the last debate, but it was like that quick, and there was no real discussion. I remember being at TSU, and I was telling a couple of candidates, bring the shit up. I said, y'all, there's a public housing complex, literally the CUNY homes, right across the street from Texas Southern University. I'm like, don't wait on a moderator, but that's being part of the problem. Okay, your moderators are not bringing up those questions, so when 20 million people are watching, when people say, oh, I haven't heard about it, well, look, a person live streaming a speech on affordable housing is not the same as 20 million watching a debate.
Yep.
I think that's part of the problem.
Yep, I think it is. About 20% of the people that we surveyed said that they don't think that this next election is going to have a strong bearing on their life. And so, like, thinking about the candidates not bringing up affordable housing in the debates, the moderators not asking those questions, and people not thinking about things like redistricting that's going to happen under this next regime, right? Like, even if it's not at the federal level, they need to be caring about their state and local elections. And what we're not seeing, there's some kind of barrier there where it's not being communicated, the importance of this.
So let's do this here. Go to the graphic here. Let me pull it up, squeeze it in here. This is what I'm talking about right here. So you have, go to my iPad, you have more interested, stayed the same, less interested when it came to voting. If you look at it by age, folks, most interested is at orange, okay? At 55 plus, then of course you have less interested is there in the black. Numbers don't lie. That graph right here, 1834, you're seeing it. That's the largest group that are less interested in voting. This is the thing that Bernie Sanders keeps saying, I can excite them. They ain't showed up yet in February or March.
You know, I think black voters in general have showed up, and that's the thing that got Biden, got him his wins this past couple of weeks.
Older black voters.
Older black voters.
See, what I'm talking about is that young number. That is a fundamental problem, and people keep, so Robert, people keep saying, okay, we got to figure out how to reach young voters. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to need young voters to also step the hell up.
Well, what we've seen historically, if you look at Rock the Vote back in the early 90s, if you remember Vote or Die, I think back when I was in college, Puff Daddy was promoting, you've never seen this groundswell of young voters simply running to the polls because you don't have enough learned life experience for you to understand the issues or to get that motivated by it. When you're 18 to 24, student loan debt hasn't really hit you yet. When you're my age, student loan debt has hit you. And that's when you get really motivated about changing student loan debt. You haven't been hit by housing issues or unemployment issues. You're still in you're still on, living in your dorm room or having your first jobs. So I think the candidates have to do a job of explaining to these young people how these issues affect them directly and then motivating the way that Obama did in 2008, because that's the only time we've seen it actually be effective.
But here's the deal, though, Ava. This is cut to the chase. Obama motivated people to vote in 2008. And this is the thing. First of all, let's just cut to the chase. He was black and running. Okay, let's just go ahead and go there. But the second thing, and this is the thing that it is so much deeper and nuanced that I think it's hard for people to even admit. Obama ran a campaign on hope and change.
Yes.
He could talk to 100,000 people in the stadium, and there would be 100,000 different interpretations on what hope and change means. Here you have a campaign where people like specifics. Okay, what's your plan on this? That's what Elizabeth Warren's whole deal is. I got a plan. The beauty of hope and change, it didn't have to mean nothing.
Right.
Like the phrasing itself, you felt great. We all hope change. All right, we feeling good. Now he gets elected. Then it's like, okay, what exactly is hope and change? And so Obama had the advantage that he never. I'm not saying he didn't have policies. Yeah. But what I'm saying is he has such this overarching theme that he did not have to actually narrow it down.
Yeah.
And it could mean anything for anybody, and everybody felt great.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, it was just such a crisis point in our history, right? And if we keep going the way we are, we might be, unfortunately, at another crisis point by the time this election hits. But, when he was running, I mean, we were at the we were teetering on a worldwide economic collapse. I mean, the hope was that you would have a house. I mean, the hope was that you'd have a job. The hope was that the country wasn't going to fall into a depression. I mean, we were really at that point. It was a crisis moment in our history. So everyone knew we needed someone in there that would correct course, that would get our economy back on the right track. So I don't think people were really talking about as wide a range of issues then, because we were at such a crisis point in our moment. But it's interesting the point that you're saying about the fact that he did have these big platitudes. He was a unique political talent, but he also was, I think, appealing to our better angels.
Right.
And I think what's really interesting right now with the dynamic in terms of the choice that people are seeing just in this primary race between a Biden and a Bernie, I think, honestly, Bernie is not doing that. And he's in terms of appealing to people's better angels. He is not. And if you also look at, though he is very specific with policy choices, but he has a wide range of policy choices, which is why, with the report that we put out with the Black Women's Roundtable, if you look at Bernie voters, when they are talking about the issues that they are mainly voting on, it's not like they're all clamoring around Medicare for all. Each person is sort of picking out that thing that's important to them. Whereas with Biden's voters, they're all saying race relations. So issues of race are of critical importance to them. So it's very important that we realize that people are going to sort of focus on that thing that's most important to them. No matter who is saying it, but ultimately I think people want to appeal to someone who inspires them, who appeals to their better angels, particularly at a moment where we have such evil in the White House that they'll be running against come November.
Jessica, Trump keeps saying the economy is great, it's so wonderful. Y'all say 1 in 5 say, go to my iPad, 1 in 5 say their personal finances have improved the last 2 years, gotten better 22%, gotten worse 27%, stayed the same 50%. But here's the thing I want to talk about, real divide by gender on improved finances. Women minus 12, men 4%. Donald Trump, they believe they can get 15 to 18% of black men. And so what was being said, what I'm curious about, forget this number, what was being said in your focus group by black men compared to black women about the economy?
One of the things that we heard quite a bit, and this was really interesting, when black women talked about what was going on in their neighborhoods, they talked about what was happening to black men, and they saw that as something that they were trying to help improve economic conditions for black men in their lives, right? And when we talked to black men, we didn't hear that so much. But I will say that one policy change that did happen in these past few years is the First Step Act. And that's something that was largely seen as criminal justice reform that helped black men more so than it would help other folks. And the other things that this administration has been able to pass are like the tax cut for rich people. Like there haven't been other wins that have come that are really directed towards black women.
But here's the piece though, Robert, even though the tax cuts were not directed to black men, there's a different view from black men, especially those with businesses, than black women when it comes to those tax cuts. And so Donald Trump is targeting like a laser. I know for a fact the White House has told me that they believe they could push that number to 20%.
I had a conversation with Mark Lauder, who's on Trump's communications team, about 2 years ago, and I said I think Donald Trump could get upwards of 30% of the black male vote in the upcoming election. Wall Street Journal, NBC poll came out today, reported by Vox, showing that Trump has a 24% approval rating with African-American men that has been trending upward lately. And I think part of it has to be stylistically. Democrats have ran hard on this black girl magic agenda for the last few years. Black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party. Black women are the base of the party. They often leave out black men unless they're talking about prison. That seems to be the only issue they know of that affect African Americans and our African American men in particular. Also, the opportunity zones, I think, were of great interest to African American men. In addition, if you look at some of the Black Voices for Trump events, Donald Trump surrounds himself with more black folks on a regular basis than many of the Democratic candidates do. Sometimes if you look at a Bernie rally, you don't know if you're at a political rally or if you're at, high
or a Trump rally.
But if you look at one of the Black Voters for Trump rallies, he's surrounded by African-American men for the most part, and then a group of African-American women also. So I think Democrats have to find out a proper way to talk to black male voters, or they do risk losing 30% of the black male vote to the Republicans this race.
Eugene, 2016, and I specifically told Hillary Clinton to her face, y'all got to have some black men who are out here talking to black men about your campaign. I said that in front of her, Huma, as well as Marlon Marshall, who's an African-American man. Nothing actually happened. Because the next day I said, yo, I want a black man who's for Hillary on-time joiner. It took him 10 hours to get somebody. I had to book down to Brazil. I mean, and so again, this is a real issue. I want to get your thoughts on it. And Jessica, again, what is being said in the focus group is important. And I'll tag on something after Eugene finishes. Go.
I agree with you. And my philosophy has always been that the GOP gets their act together. They don't need to win black voters. They just need a percentage, right?
Yep.
And that's what Team Trump's,
you need a percentage of black voters, and you want to suppress a larger percentage.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And that's what Team Trump's getting at. But I do agree with you. Team Biden, I think, look, you didn't give free game to every candidate on this set, right? And look, I think one of my ideas that these folks need to take is they need to probably do a nationally televised town hall with black men talking about the issues that black men deal with in this country, beyond just policing, beyond criminal justice reform. Business development. If we have opportunity zones, how do you get capital to take advantage of them? That's the discussion that needs to take place. But I do agree with Rob, and I do agree with you that the Democrat Party, they do risk losing a percentage of black men to Team Trump if they don't actively, engage them, as it is with any constituency. You could lose to the other side if you don't actively engage.
Jessica, the reason I want to hear, because a few months ago I was talking to a white female pollster, and she said when Elizabeth Warren's name came up, she heard the exact same groan from black men that she heard in 2016 with Hillary. And Warren talked about, of course, misogyny, which was what she had to deal with running, as well as Senator Harris, as well as the other women who are running as well. The reason I'm saying that this is important, this race could come down to margins. Okay, it was 14,000 or so in Wisconsin. It was 10,000 in Michigan. It was about 50,000 in Pennsylvania. And so people might say, look, y'all have this conversation, but look, 18% of black men, no big deal. No, if you're talking about, okay, who can win a state by 5, 10, 15,000 votes? Yep, everyone matters.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge deal, and I think that's why investments in making sure that we're getting voter turnout is really important. I think people in 2016 they discounted the voter suppression that was happening. We're going into 2020 where we have not only Russian actors, but domestic actors trying to suppress the vote via social media. And we just got the first fact check, social media post deleted. I think that was today or yesterday, right? We're way behind on dealing with this, and I think we're going to have more problems.
All right. Jessica, we appreciate it. Where can folks go to see the full report?
It's at jointcenter.org.
All right, thanks so much.
All
right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, so a lot of y'all are always asking me about some of the pocket squares that I wear. Now, Robert don't have one on. Nope. Now, I don't particularly like the white pocket squares. I don't like even the silk ones. And so I was reading GQ magazine a number of years ago, and I saw this guy who had this pocket square here, and it looks like a flower. This is called a shibori pocket square. This is how the Japanese manipulate the fabric to create this sort of flower effect. So I'm going to take it out and then place it in my hand so you see what it looks like. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. And so I tracked down, it took me a year to find a company that did it. And so they make these about 47 different colors. And so I love them because, again, as men, we don't have many accessories to wear, so we don't have many options. And so this is really a pretty cool pocket square. Now, what I love about this here is you saw when it's in the pocket, it gives you that flower effect like that. But if I wanted to also, because if I flip it and turn it over, it actually gives me a different type of texture. And so therefore it gives me a different look. So there you go. So if you actually want to get one of these shibori pocket squares, we have them in 47 different colors. All you got to do is go to rolandmartin.com/pocket squares. All right, so first of all, that graphic is way too small. So tomorrow we're going to run it right down here all across the screen. So it's rolandmartin.com/pocket squares. All you got to do is go to my website and you can actually get this. Now, for those of you who are members of our Bring the Funk fan club, there's a discount for you to get our pocket squares. That's why you also got to be a part of our Bring the Funk fan club. And so that's what we want you to do. And so it's pretty cool. So if you want to jazz your look up, you can do that. In addition, y'all see me with some of the feather pocket squares. My sister, who's a designer, she actually makes these. They're all custom made. So when you also go to the website, you can also order one of the customized feather pocket squares right there at rolandsmartin.com/pocket squares. So please do so. And of course, that goes to support the show. And again, if you're a Bring the Funk fan club member, you get a discount. This is why you should join the fan club. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.